This is Off the Ice, the Nanaimo Clippers hockey show on 106.9 The Wolf. With the latest news on the Clippers and the BCHL, here's Dan Marshall.
It's Off the Ice, the Clippers hockey show, the first show of the season after the first weekend of the season. Lots to get into. Nanaimo 1-1 to start the year, and some fun guests today. Off the top, you'll hear from Coach and General Manager Mike Vandekamp. We've also got Spencer Hewson and Corey Renwick, Clipper forwards, veteran forwards, to come in and join me. Also, we've got a new member of the show. Joe D is on the show this year. Joe, are you excited about being part of Off the Ice this year?
Oh, man, you snake. Yeah, of course. This is going to be so fun. I can't wait to meet some of the players. I'm new to Nanaimo, so this is going to be great.
We have hockey trivia for a pair of Clipper tickets today. You can answer this question online on the Wolf's Facebook page or on Twitter as well, at 1069 The Wolf. Here's the question. 3 veteran Nanaimo Clippers have changed their jersey numbers this year. Can you name any one of those players? We don't need all 3, just need one of any of the 3 Clipper veterans who have changed their jersey number this year. We'll give away the tickets at the end of the show, but go on social media at The Wolf on Facebook or on Twitter and let us know. But right off the top, we'll go to Mike Vandekamp, the head coach and general manager of the Clippers, to talk about the weekend that was. Coach, 2 games on the road in Powell River. You get the splits, tight 2-1 games. It reminded me a lot of the playoffs last year and the way that these 2 teams battled. What were your overall thoughts?
Well, the first game was, it was tight. It was low scoring considering early in the year. I find that sometimes the games are a little bit higher scoring just because teams aren't as structured at that time of the year and defensively sound. I know last year, our first weekend, we gave up, I don't know what it was, maybe 13 goals in the first 2 games, and now this weekend it was basically 4 goals against. So, I think if anything, it ended up being a better game than I thought it was going to be. It was close. It was defensive battle. The goalies played well at both ends, and obviously we showed some good resiliency. We went down a goal after 1, and we were shorthanded a lot. We were shorthanded 9 times in the game, which was tough to take any night. And we managed to kill a lot of penalties. We had a good second period. And played quite well in the third period with the lead, too. Other than the times that we were shorthanded, I thought at even strength we handled things pretty well. And obviously Jonathan Reinhart was solid in that for us, and to get a 2-1 win to open the season was great.
You put yourselves in a position yesterday to come away with points. You had to battle back from 1-0 and 2-1 down, tie game in the third period on the road, and just, I think, one of those unlucky breaks for your goaltender, and it ends up being the deciding goal in a weekend that was very tough offensively to pick up extra goals if you needed one.
Yeah, it was disappointing, obviously. It was a bit of an unfortunate goal, but those happen at this level of hockey, and for them to take the lead at 3-2, there was still lots of hockey to play, and we ended up out shooting them quite a bit in the third period, and did sort of pour it to them and gave ourselves a chance to tie the hockey game again, but we were unable to score a goal late in the game, so that was difficult. But I think overall we didn't play as well the second night as far as I'm concerned. I didn't like our game. I thought the first 5 minutes we didn't seem ready. We got scored on early. The first 10 minutes of the second period was not very good at all. That's 15 minutes of hockey that we didn't play very well. I thought the other 45 we were pretty good, but 45 minutes out of 60 isn't going to win you a game when you're in the second half of a doubleheader where the other team, lost the night before. They're going to be a little hungrier, a little bit more desperate, a little sharper, and I think unfortunately we didn't play well enough to make up that difference. So I think that's sometimes why you see a long shot like that go in, is maybe we didn't deserve to win the game anyway.
You get back on the ice and back to work tomorrow. What's job one in terms of one of the first things that you want to really work on? Because I think this is the first week where you have less evaluation to do. I know you're still evaluating your roster, but your roster is now set. So what's job one in terms of getting this team ready to go for Friday as you start to get your systems working and you start to take that next step with your team?
Well, the roster's never set. I think if we learned anything this weekend, a little bit more about our team and kind of where we might feel like we need some help along the way, or whether we do it all, but it's definitely nice, as difficult as the decisions were to make, and each of the decisions that we made, especially the latter or the latest ones right down the stretch here, to get our roster down the numbers were very difficult, and in some cases even a little emotional to try to work through that. It was a tough week, working through a lot of meetings and trying to create the culture of the team the way you want it, and really set the program up while you're dealing with all of those other things was a pretty busy and trying week last week. So I agree with you. This week's probably the first time that we were able to just get to work for 3 practices before the home opener. We've got a couple of games that we can draw experience from and discussion from. So, it's definitely great to have played a couple of games now and get a chance to get to work this week. I think, as is always the case, really it comes down to probably increasing and bettering the structure side of our game and the systems and playing better as a team. Special teams obviously need work. I mean, I thought we did a pretty good job on the penalty kill this weekend, considering the amount of times we were shorthanded, but we still didn't go 100% in either game. Our power play only scored once, so, those areas of the game need work for sure.
Devin Brosso's your new captain, and every captain is different, but I think there's a lot of differences between a Brendan Taylor, who was your captain last year, and Devin Brosso. Brendan, I always compared to a guy like a Joe Sakic or a Marcus Naslund. He just goes about his business, but Devin is one of those engaging personalities as well that always, even when he wasn't wearing a C, he was wearing an A last year. In his first year, he was always kind of in the middle of things going around with the team. He's a very engaging guy. But in what ways do you think that you're going to have a different type of captain in Devin Brosso, and what kind of captain will he be?
Well, I think he's naturally more outgoing than Brendan that way, for sure. I think Brendan did a wonderful job last year as our captain and led by example and came out of his shell a little bit too, and he very well should have last year. I mean, had been with us for his 4 seasons, and I think he did a really good job of just being a take charge kind of a guy, and sometimes that wasn't always natural for him. With Devin, I think you've got a guy that is a little bit more socially outgoing. He's real comfortable in his in his own shoes, and in a good way, and he's able to take charge of the group. He's not shy. He's vocal, and he's mature, and all those things. He's definitely our team leader that way. And I agree with you. That's a good word. He's engaging. He's a good guy to talk to. He's intelligent. He's well spoken. He certainly carries himself with a lot of professionalism, and that's what you want in a captain. And I think being named captain is going to help him become a more consistent player. That's what we want to see out of him is consistent play night after night, being the player that we feel that he needs to be. And when I say we, it's he and the coaches. He knows who he needs to be as a player too, and we've talked about it. And he's trying to become that player, just a real true 200-foot power forward, hard-working type player that. But he needs to be that guy every single night, and I think he's gotten off to a good start here. He had a good camp, good exhibition, and I thought he played pretty well this weekend too.
Opening night at home is always an emotional night, especially for players coming back from last year, the first real home game since Game 6 of the BC Hockey League Finals. As a coach, what do you do with the guys this week? Do you even talk about the home opener and dealing with the emotions, or just let the guys ride their way through this?
Well, I mean, right now we wouldn't be talking about it too much. We got to prepare for a hockey game and kind of go about our business here. We've got 3 real important practices and workout days and a little bit of video work and some different things that we'll do this week and just prepare for a hockey game. And when we get to the game day, we'll certainly address it. I think it's important to make sure that the guys aren't too, nervous or whatever it might be. We were pretty nervous playing in their rink the other night, especially guys that had never played a game in our league, and now it's going to be the first one in our building, so that'll come with nerves as well. And I think, if anything, just keep the group loose and let's go out and have some fun and play hard, and really that's all we're going to do. So it's not something that we talk about a whole bunch. I don't know if it's the terminology of home opener or something we're going to be talking about. It's just an important hockey game for us. We've set some goals here again this year, and using our segments as 5 games and trying to make sure that we get at least 6 points in every segment of every available 10 points that we play. And right now we're only 1-1, so this is a very important 3rd game of this segment, and that's really all it is at this point.
I talked to LP Page, one of your new defensemen, and we were chatting in the intermission of the game yesterday, and he had said that there was a big intensity jump. He had come from prep school hockey to exhibition BCHL play, And then he says, wow, there was even a bigger jump from exhibition play to regular season play. And he was quite struck by it. And I know you kind of hinted at that earlier, but with your new players, do you think that the thoughts of LP there were kind of what the other newcomers were going through?
Well, if I can read facial expressions, I would say absolutely. I mean, in the dressing room, the guys' eyes were wide open, and I think it was an eye-opener, absolutely. And I think that's great. I mean, there's no other way to learn than to get in there and play, and we've got a lot of new faces this year. I think 10 of the guys maybe played for us last year.
That's exactly right.
So we're, carrying 23 right now, so we got 13 new guys. A couple of guys have played junior A hockey before, and different leagues, USHL or Ontario and different places, but a lot of the guys are coming out of prep school, midget hockey, and that type of background, and it's going to take them a while. I've said that all along. This team is going to be one that's going to need to learn as we go early on in the year, and we definitely have a lot to work with here, and I think we're a team that will continue to get better as the season goes along and hopefully be a really good second half team. And each of these experiences is a new one for all these guys. Like all these trips that we're going to make early in the year to different rinks they've never been to. Playing Friday night here coming up, first home game in our own building, and all that. There's going to be some nerves that come with that, and I'm prepared for that, and I look forward to seeing these young guys, gain experience as we go along. And we like our group a lot. They've shown a great deal of willingness to work, great attitudes. Side of it is definitely in order, and on the ice, I think we've got speed, we've got skill, and the makings of a really good hockey team.
I joke around with you quite a bit about you changing line combinations on me, and sometimes you'll try a winger at the center position or vice versa, but there was pretty good consistency in terms of combinations in the first two games. Even with that, though, you did have some changes that you made because you had 3 extra bodies with you, so everybody got to play on the weekend. But if you're looking at this Friday's roster and combinations, if you're thinking about changes and contemplating that, is that something that heading into practice tomorrow you're going to go right away, or will that be something that might even evolve over the coming days before you put your combinations together for Friday?
Maybe both. I think if we're going to do anything, it's nice to do it when the week starts. I don't think we'll do a lot. I like the way the guys played, and it's going to take time for the guys to build chemistry, so I don't think we want to start ripping things apart too much. Give it a chance to work and maybe tweak it here and there. We tweaked it a little bit within the game a couple times for a few shifts here and there. Leaned on guys that have played at this level before in a couple of key situations. Like Chris Tadero jumped in there and took some shifts with Renwick and Hewson in a couple of key moments in the games. Again, he's played a lot more hockey at this level in the USHL and stuff than some of our younger guys. So, you try to set people up for success, right? I mean, you're not trying to put players into situations that they're not ready for, and yet you have to go out there and be put in those situations in order to learn and get better too. So it's just a balancing act of that. And overall with the lineup, I mean, we wanted to play everyone on the opening weekend. Everybody did draw into the lineup, which was important to me. I wanted to make sure everybody played. I mean, we took some guys out of the lineup after the first night that had absolutely no business coming out of the lineup. I thought they played great and really played well and didn't deserve to necessarily be out. But it was really important just with the numbers that we have that everyone gained experience. And moving forward, you probably see a little less of that, to be honest. I mean, I think we did that by design, but moving forward here, we're gonna ice the lineup that we think can help us win the game the best and reward people accordingly and go from there.
I feel being around your group, especially returning guys, that there's somewhat a feeling of unfinished business, that guys went to the Fred Page Cup last year and the expectation was that we're going to win this and we're going to go on to a Western Canada Cup and we're going to compete for an RBC Cup. And with those returning guys, I get a sense that there's already a chip on the shoulder after the first 2 games of the year. Does the coaching staff feel that way too? That, last year you were so close, but the job wasn't done and you kind of have that chip on your shoulder that you want to get back there, but there's also an expectation that you're going to be a team that can be that good?
Well, it's a fine line. I think you have to be careful. Look too far ahead for one thing and get too caught up in that kind of stuff. I mean, at least I don't. It's a brand new year. It's a new group. There's a lot of new faces. one of the things that we've been working really hard to do here in the past few years, you and I talked about this the other day, coming out of the WCC year, we kind of had cleaned house and sort of started over a little bit and created a foundation that we could kind of build around every single year, and a culture that was in place here of hard work and, good community, good kids in the community, and just good teammates and good team members. And I think you've seen that in the past couple of years, and we had some success last year and a good playoff run. And that when the new guys come into the lineup here this year, that they can sense that and get that feeling from some of the veteran players. I think that's really important, and that's how culture carries on in junior hockey, because it's not easy. It's not like pro hockey where, you'll have the same player play for your team for 15 years or whatever, and he's the captain of the team for 10 of them and all that. You just don't see that at this level. So you need a really strong group of people that are coming back every year. This year it's 10 players and a coaching staff and a training staff and guys that were part of something last year. But it's really important that we don't talk too much about that. I think draw from it, but you know what? This is a brand new season. We can expect... We know what to expect when it comes to the work that we have to put in and the commitment that we forward here to get where we want to go. When we get to the playoffs, I think we'll know a bit more about what that means and what that's all about, and that's where that experience will really pay off.
That is the coach and general manager of the Nanaimo Clippers, Mike Vandekamp. Coach, thanks for this, and we'll chat again at the home opener on Friday.
You bet. Thanks a lot, Dan.
When we come back, you'll hear from Spencer Hewson and Corey Renwick. This is Off the Ice on 106.9 The Wolf.
Back to Off the Ice, the Clippers hockey show on 106.9 The Wolf.
We are back live on Off the Ice on 106.9 The Wolf. Corey Renwick and Spencer Hewson here to join me for this next segment. We're going to talk about their summers, about the first weekend of the season, expectations, and then we're going to play a game called That Didn't Happen for a sensational movie prize pack. And everybody in studio has been in awe of the movie prize pack, which we will give away in about 13 or 14 minutes time. But first of all, let's start off with summer activities, and Corey will give you the first word because you spent a lot of off seasons as a Nanaimo Clipper already, the only guy in his fourth year with the team. How did your summer go? What did you do?
It was a great summer. I worked at Fairwinds Golf Course again, and so that was good. And a couple of the boys from last year went down to Seattle for a couple ball games and stuff like that, so that was fun.
What about you, Spencer, up in the Okanagan? How did your summer go?
I actually stayed in Nanaimo this summer.
Oh,
Lived
very
with my
good.
billet family.
Very good. You're getting it right.
It's tough to say no to an island summer. My family was moving around, so I was lucky enough to stay with my billet family. And I worked at a golf course, not the same one as Renner here, but at Cottonwood as a bartender, actually. And so that was a new experience and a lot of fun.
Spencer, sticking with you, when you look back to last year's team at this time, are there some comparisons to this year's group and last year's group? Because I always look back at a team that had success and what was successful about that team. And I like to know, just from your perspective, are there some good similarities and maybe some differences too, this year to last year, what you've seen so far from your group?
Yes, instantly you can see some similarities. We've got, we're fortunate to have a lot of returning players that are going to be filling big roles. And so it's the exact same guys. So it's those similarities. But we've brought in a lot of new recruits and new guys that are showing potential right away, and it's early in the year, so it's tough to say what's going to happen exactly, but it is similar to last year where you've got high hopes for a lot of players.
Corey, when it comes to your goals for this season, personal goals, team goals, what are some of the things that are on that list for you right now?
Well, ultimately to win that championship, we came close last year, but just didn't get there. And personal goals, just be a good defensive player and put some more goals and points up on the board.
Spencer, what about you? Same question.
Like Renwick said, for the team, we want to get an extra 2 wins than we did last year. It was tough to come so far and ended up just short. We think that we can do that and hopefully further along into Westerns and then RBC. And then personally, playing on a line with Renner, we have similar goals. We both want to be guys who are relied upon on the penalty kill and on the defensive aspect in the game and kind of guarding leads late in the game, but would like to expand our game into more of an offensive role as well.
Corey, what was your favorite part of last year's championship run? There was a lot of fun memories over 2 grueling months of playoffs, but when you think back, and it doesn't have to be one thing, what are a few of the things that really stand out in your mind?
Just the competitiveness, just in all the series. It just gets really fun. You know, you get heated up and all that kind of stuff. And there's one moment probably was, Rolly's overtime winner against Penn there. That was a pretty special moment for sure.
What about you, Spencer? And just before you answer that, there was a moment when your team was down in the third period of Game 6, and you scored a really fluky goal. But at the time, it was one of those plays to me, I thought, this is a goal of destiny. If these guys are getting these types of goals, they're going to force a Game 7. And I had a belief factor after I watched that goal that you scored go in. And that might not be one of the things that was the biggest moment for you, but it certainly was for me. What are your standout moments from the playoffs?
Well, first off, I don't know what you mean by fluky. That was the plan the whole time for that to bounce in the way it did.
Just in case you're a new fan of the Clippers, Spencer's shot seemed to go up off the goalie and up in the air and stay in the air for forever, and then come down and then land somewhere in the back of the net. Sorry to say fluky. It looked somewhat of a greasy goal, but I didn't know it was planned like that. My apologies.
I didn't know it went in until Forbes jumped on me. But last year for the playoffs, I mean, the Penticton series being in the finals, and like Renner said, the intensity was special. But for me, getting to experience back-to-back Game 7s in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs was something special that not everyone gets to be a part of, and so those games I'll always remember.
Well, I know for me, I've been calling games here this is my 9th season here, and overall 15 seasons, and I'd only ever seen one other Game 7 for a team I was covering, and that was back in 2002. So to have 2 of them back-to-back, as a player, it rarely happens. And as someone that's been around the league for a long time, they are rare, they are special, and boy, it's great when you can win them like that. Just a few more questions left before we get to our game. Corey Renwick, for you, first weekend of the season, a couple of games, a win and a loss, very tight, competitive hockey. Reminded me a lot of the playoffs last year with those 2 teams. What did you see from your group over the course of the 2 games on the weekend?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a lot of the guys are playing their first BCHL games and stuff like that, so we didn't accomplish what we wanted to in the road trip, but a lot of learning tools from that road trip for sure.
Spencer, thoughts on the Victoria Grizzlies and the home opener? First of all, there's the emotion of a home opener, but then you've got the Victoria Grizzlies, a division rival, a team that you know a little bit, I guess, because you did play them twice in the preseason.
I'm sure if you talk to Mike, he's going to say something similar that I would say, in that it doesn't really matter who we're going to be playing. It's more about having a good week of practice this week and taking care of the things we can control. And then whether it's home opener or a game in October or any time, it's just kind of going through your process and making sure you're doing everything that you can do personally and as a team. And if you do those things, we have the players that we should end up on the right side of a lot of games this year.
We're now going to play a game. We're going to do this every Off the Ice show right before 7:30. The game today is That Didn't Happen. There are 7 questions, and you each have a call bell. And maybe ring those bells right now so we make sure that they are working. Yeah,
we're good.
Nicely done. I think we're good. I'm going to ask a question. If you think the answer is yes, hit your bell. I'll call on you and say yes. If you think the answer is no, you must answer with, that didn't happen. And then if you're correct, I will ask you as a follow-up what the real answer is. So there's extra points to be had here. The game is That Didn't Happen. I'm going to turn around my computer monitor so you guys can't quite see as easily if you're planning on cheating, and I know that's not in your vocabulary for either one of you. So here we go. Question number 1. That didn't happen. Get those bells ready. There was once a WHL team in Nanaimo named the Nanaimo Islanders. Spencer Hewson.
That didn't happen?
No, that did happen. You don't lose points, but you're still at 0. Question number 2.
Long pause. I thought I'd swing for it.
Question number 2. Vernon won the first BCHL championship in 1962. Long in thought for these 2 guys. You can't lose points, so that was a very
tentative.
A very cautious ring in from Spencer. Vernon won the first BCHL championship in 1962.
Growing up in Vernon, I don't remember any 62 banners, so I'm going to say no, that didn't happen.
That is correct. You have 1 point. As a follow-up, do you know which team did win in 1962?
Did win in 62? a little bit before I was born.
Just a smidge.
Trying to think of teams back. With Penticton Panthers?
It was not Penticton. It was the Kamloops Rockets that won the first BCHL championship.
Second guess.
Your second guess. I don't know about that. Question number 3. Spencer's up 1-0 on Corey. Corey's been very cautious. You're a cerebral guy, Corey, and I know that you're not going to have any guesses. You're either going to know it or you're going to lay off and let Spencer bury himself, although he did all right there. Question number 3. John Grisdale, the commissioner of the BC Hockey League, used to play for the Montreal Canadiens. Corey Renwick.
Yes.
Incorrect. He did play in the NHL, but for Vancouver and Toronto. It's still 1-0 for Spencer. Question number 4. Mike Vandekamp coached in the Western Hockey League with the Kootenay Ice. Spencer Hewson.
That didn't happen.
That is correct. Do you know which team he did coach?
Was it with Prince George?
That is also correct. 3-0 for Spencer Hewson over Corey Renwick. Spencer looking good to win our movie prize pack, but there's still a lot of time left. Question number 5. Brett Hull holds the BCHL record for the most points in a season with 188. Now that was Spencer. Again, tentative, but it was Spencer.
I keep holding the... I'm going to go with yes?
That is correct. Brett Hull, best ever BCHL season, 188 points. That was with Penticton in 1983-84. The top scorer trophy is named after him, which you guys still are eligible to win this season. Although, a quick aside, and either one of you can answer this, the way that Mike Vandekamp rolls his lines, does it make it so it's very unlikely for a guy part of this group is going to be at the top of the scoring race just based on ice time? Because it seems to get spread around quite a bit.
I mean, we've got enough players that there's no need to ride one line.
Yeah.
And so there's guys that are always up there in point per game. But if you look at our team last year, I think we had 8 20-goal scorers.
It was right around there,
and so it's spread out. So I wouldn't say it's impossible for a guy to get it, because if a player is on a hot streak, Mike will play a hot hand. But I wouldn't say it's likely, because some teams do have less depth than we do and ride certain players.
That was like the commercial break in Jeopardy right there. I just throw in a hockey question. Joe, I have it 4-0 for Spencer. Is that what you have as well?
That is correct. Come on, Corey.
Spencer Hewson doing well. He wants this movie prize pack. Next question. In 2013-14, the first year that you guys played together as Clippers, Austin Dick led the Clippers with 70 penalty minutes. Corey Renwick.
That didn't happen.
That is correct. Do you know who did? I don't need to know the number of minutes, but do you know who did lead the Clippers in penalty minutes that year?
Yes, Mason Mitchell.
That is also correct. Right back in it. Nicely done. It's 4-2 for Hewson. Question number 7. This is the final question. We'll see. I'm not going to tell you if you can catch up or not, because it could be a yes and it could be a that didn't happen. Owen Hardy, your teammate this year on the Clippers, was born on Valentine's Day. Corey Renwick.
Yes.
Incorrect. That didn't happen. He was born on another quasi-February holiday, Groundhog Day.
Fun fact. Now we know.
So congratulations to Spencer Hewson. You have won the movie Broken City, our movie prize pack. It's a DVD. You can go home and watch that several times over. You can even invite Corey over, and you guys can watch it together.
Sounds like a movie date.
The truth for sure.
Corey's looking somewhat skeptical about that as a movie date. Guys, thank you so much. Best of luck at the home opener this Friday, and then Powell River back again on Saturday.
Thanks, Dan.
Spencer Hewson, Corey Renwick, and the home opener is Friday night, 7 o'clock. The Clippers and the Victoria Grizzlies. For Joe, this is Dan. Good night from Off the Ice.
You've been listening to Off the Ice, the Clippers Hockey Show. Join us again next Monday night at 7 on Nanaimo's Rock, 106.9 The Wolf.